There is a flip side to everything. And yesterday we talked about Venus and Jupiter, which is the holy grail of wealth potential and financial abundance and how you can attract wealth to you. But we got to talk about the flip side, which is namely Venus and Saturn. While Jupiter is about expansion and luck and good fortune, Saturn is about discipline. Saturn is the hard stuff, the tough stuff, but the stuff that gets you structured. When you're talking about generational wealth, and that is a phrase that's on so many people's lips these days, you're really talking about Venus and Saturn. Don't sleep on Saturn. If you use the energy correctly, you could set yourself up for a life of financial freedom, financial fortune, and money that you can leave for generations to come. So in this video, I will be talking about the pairing of Venus and Saturn, what it means for discipline, delayed gratification, and financial structure in your life. All right, so stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and sound therapist, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you are new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So like I said in the intro, today we're talking about discipline. Not the best of words, but necessary nonetheless. Venus and Saturn together is the pair that teaches patience, mastery, and long-term wealth, okay? It's like the work that you do today is the money and the finances that you will enjoy tomorrow. Venus is how you attract. Saturn is how you sustain. Now, I had an ex that had this phrase that he like laser engraved in my mind. And the phrase is, it's not what you cop, it's what you keep. It's not what you attract, but it's what you can hold on to. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss at length in this video. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so having wealth is one thing, building wealth is another. It's no fun if you have money that's here today and gone tomorrow, right? Imagine you have a windfall of money and in the immediate future and then the present, you're able to enjoy all the things, do everything you want, etc. But then what happens when that money runs out? You kind of feel like shit, right? You're like, oh, damn, now I got to do this all over again. That's kind of why you see like lottery winners, if they don't have the structure and the discipline, that money can vanish into thin air like that, or like that, I should say, right? So as much as we want to focus on attraction, aka Venus, we have to focus on sustainability as well, which is the realm of Saturn. And when you put these two together, you are amassing, you're sustaining, and most importantly, you are building. All right, so let's get into it. So let's talk about Venus and Saturn aspects. Okay, now keep in mind, if you haven't watched any of the previous videos before, although you should definitely do that, I will leave links to aspect videos that you may also want to watch, either to get a refresher or to learn this stuff for the first time. Now, keep in mind, when I talk about aspects, I'm talking about the relationship between Venus and Saturn in your natal chart. There are 5 major aspects, and those aspects are determined by the degree between Venus and Saturn, or Venus and any planet, or any planets in your natal chart for that matter. So it may be the case that the configuration between Venus and Saturn in your natal chart don't fall into one of those 5 aspects. It doesn't mean that they're not having a conversation. It may mean that the fact that they're not talking, it means that it's not that pressing in your life, okay? Meaning that maybe you already mastered stability and attraction, right? Or you could also, for further information, look at the elements that Venus and Saturn are in, or also look at the houses that they are in to delineate more information on attraction and sustainability. But either way, let's begin with the aspects. And the first is going to be the conjunction, when Venus and Saturn are at the same degree. at or about the same degree. All right. And so this is where you experience early financial lessons, slow and steady success, and a maturity that brings reward, okay? Like Venus wants to attract all the things, but when you've got Saturn right on top of her, Saturn is like, oh, we can't spend. We just got this. We can't spend it. Or this is what it's like when you're not disciplined with money. Saturn right on top of Venus will make that very apparent in your life. Now let's talk about the soft aspects, which are trines and sextiles. So if you have Venus trine or sextile to Saturn in your natal chart, you've got a pretty good handle on financial discipline, right? You've got strong financial judgment, you're disciplined with your money, and perhaps you understand value over vanity. Like you've kind of mastered those lessons, and you may be someone who is very structured with their money, very disciplined, someone who is used to and thrives when it comes to delayed gratification, which is a great way to build long-term wealth. Now let's talk about the hard aspects. This is when Venus and Saturn are having a difficult conversation in your natal chart. This is essentially when you've got Venus square Saturn or Venus opposing Saturn, okay? And so when it comes to financial discipline, you're very much enrolled in the school of hard knocks. You've got lessons, perhaps upon lessons that are getting you to learn discipline and delayed gratification. Okay, and so there's a fear of loss. There could be a lack or a scarcity mindset. You've got to earn, then prove. That kind of pattern really plays out in your life. Or you experience a lot of lessons around self-worth and trust. Either way, those hard aspects aren't just difficult for no reason. Iron sharpens iron, and they're really getting you to understand discipline when it comes to your finances. Squares and oppositions are character builders. And if you've got Venus in harsh aspect to Saturn, you are building your financial discipline character, essentially. All right. So now let's talk about how this energy of Venus and Saturn kind of shows up in your life. All right. So you may have to earn comfort or success through consistent efforts. Venus wants ease and she wants pleasure. But when you put Venus and Saturn together, it's like you got to work for it. You know, the phrase over the last couple of years has been the soft life. But what most people don't realize is that the soft life comes after kind of a hard life, after putting in the work. So Venus and Saturn configuration in your natal chart can speak to that. Next, financial progress may come slowly with this configuration, but the good news is that it sticks. It's not a fly-by-night thing where you have money today and it's gone tomorrow. Venus and Saturn is like when you earn that money, when you go through the school of hard knocks to get it, you likely can hold on to it. So that's definitely a plus. Next, Venus and Saturn people do best with savings plans, investments, or systems that reward patience. Saturn represents time. And when you put Venus and Saturn together, that's time plus money, something that can grow, something that can mature, something that can appreciate in value. That's the realm of Venus and Saturn. So not only if you have an aspect that facilitates that, or if you have that configuration in your natal chart that facilitates that, not only are you a person that's naturally inclined to that, but those are the kind of situations, long, steady, and long-term investments are the types of situations where you thrive. Next, and finally, the more you honor your boundaries when it comes to price, time, or even energy, the more abundance flows. Saturn is the planet of boundaries. It's where we experience limitation. And limitation and boundaries kind of go together, right? You know where you draw the line. You know where you won't overspend. You know where you won't touch that money for 6 months. The more you lean into that, the more abundance flows. When you're willing to set boundaries and adhere to time, that is how abundance lives for you when it comes to your Venus and Saturn configuration in your natal chart. All right, so let's get into why this matters and some quick integration tips. So like I said, it's not about what you cop, it's what you keep. It's not about just attracting, it's what you can hold on to. And that's really important because, again, you don't want to have money today and be broke tomorrow. Okay. Then next, Venus and Saturn teaches integrity in currency, discipline and delayed gratification. I mean, this isn't meant to be like a moral thing, right? But when you respect money, money respects you and it flows to you easily. I'm not saying that impulse spending and all of that is disrespectful, right? But I just will reiterate what I said. When you respect money, money respects you and it sticks, it stays around. Think of it this way. If you're in a relationship with somebody and they're constantly disrespecting you, taking you for granted, not giving a fuck about you, do you want to stay in that situation? No. And everything about money, it's a relationship, it's an energy. So respect money, it'll respect you. Point blank, period. Next, it's not about being stingy or cheap, okay? It's about respecting your time and your energy. And I feel like the biggest word here is respect. Those boundaries, those limitations are for a purpose, a long-term goal even. So keep in mind that stinginess, being cheap, it's rooted in lack. Lack has no place. Remember, we are eradicating that from our minds, our mindsets, and our vocabulary. We're all about abundance over here, all right? Stingy and cheap is like, I'm afraid of losing it. I don't want to relinquish this. I don't know if I'm going to get it back. We're not about that life, okay? What we are about is setting boundaries because we know we have a pot of gold that we are building at the end of the rainbow. So we respect our time, our energy, and we build consistently. That's, again, how you also respect money so that it can respect you in return. Next, long-term security comes from valuing yourself enough to wait for aligned rewards. Oh, baby, wait. That is the realm of Saturn. Saturn is slow down. Saturn is no. Saturn is wait. So rewards, much like anything else, if you align yourself with the rewards that are aligned for you, that's where you hit the sweet spot. And that's what Venus and Saturn together want to show you. When you value yourself enough to set those boundaries and to know that this is not in alignment with my long-term goals, and you act you act pursuant to that, that is how you secure the bag long term. Okay, so I think the biggest takeaway here is respect money and it will respect you and it'll stick around. And ultimately, that is what you really want when we talk about changing your financial story. And changing your financial story is one of my objectives when it comes to my signature natal chart experience, the blueprint. Now, this isn't just a one-off regular degular natal chart reading. It's a whole experience. So you not only get a personalized reading, you get a private client portal where you will have access to a bunch of resources, but most importantly, you get a 30-day money map. So that post-reading, you know exactly what steps to take that are in alignment with your chart to change your financial story. All right, I love that for you. And if you're interested, the first step would be to book a free clarity call with me. It's a 15-minute call where we can discuss whether the blueprint is right for you, and if so, how we can get started. So if you're interested, the link to that will be in the description box below. And maybe you're someone who's not necessarily ready for all that yet. Stay tuned because later on this month, I will be launching my signature mini course on how to read your natal chart called Charted. All right, so stick around for all of that. So to recap, respect and money go together, whether you think so or not. It's not about what you cop, it's about what you keep. And when we're talking about long-term wealth, wealth that isn't flash in the pan and fly by night, Venus and Saturn in your natal chart will show you where generational wealth lives in your life. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing better or more rewarding than that. All right, my love, so that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video on Venus and Saturn and what it means for your long-term wealth potential. All right, so hopefully you got at least one important piece of information that you can use to change your financial story. So join me tomorrow where we're going to take things a little deeper and we are going to discuss Venus and Pluto and how you can transform your financial story permanently and profoundly. So if you haven't subscribed or set notifications, do so you don't miss any of that. All right, don't forget to take the Abundance Archetype quiz. Link is in the description box below. If you want to learn more and you're hungry for a little more content, join us over in Cosmic Collective, my private online community where I will be going live every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern for Cosmic Cash Flow Fridays, where we talk about everything we talk about here, but more in depth. Plus, you get to ask questions, including questions about your specific natal chart. Link is in the description box below. Also, don't forget to sign up and enter for our giveaway and share this video if you found value in it. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.